Colorado's next Lieutenant Governor, Jill Repella.
Hello, Colorado. Yay, I can't tell you what an honor it is to be a candidate for your next Lieutenant Governor of Colorado. Thank you very much. I have one question for everyone. Are you ready for new, stronger leadership? I'll tell you, leadership matters. As a Douglas County Commissioner, when I got in office, we got busy, we rolled up our sleeves, we got government out of the way, and as a result, Douglas County was ranked second in the nation for fastest job growth. That's what happens when government's out of the way. Folks, leadership matters. I've been all over the state, just rolled in before this rally. People everywhere are so disappointed in the lack of leadership in this state. They want leadership, they deserve leadership. Colorado is a strong, proud state and deserves strong leadership. Right now, we have a governor who cannot make a decision, who's indecisive. When he looks to make a decision, he looks to Michael Bloomberg and he looks to Washington, D.C. and Barack Obama. Shame on him. This is your state, this is my state, this is Bob's state. This is ours to decide what's right for Colorado, and we're not going to look outside of the state to make the decisions. I am so proud to stand by Bob. His vision, his leadership, his strength, his ability to make tough decisions, and his ability to stand up for Colorado and do what's right is why I said, absolutely, I'm by your side, I got your back, we're going to make this the strongest state in the nation. Folks, leadership matters. Unfortunately, our opposition puts forth John Hickenlooper, Mark Udall, Barack Obama. All they can do is put forth weak men with bad ideas. I'm tired of it. Bob is an amazing man. I'll tell you, in the last Quinnipiac poll, they touched on his integrity, his strength, his character, and they nailed it. Bob's a great man. Leadership matters. Look at what's going on at the country. We have a struggling economy. We have ISIS. We have border issues. We have so many issues. We need strong leadership at our nation's level, too. How about a new president in 2 years, huh? How about strong leadership there from a man who knows how to strengthen the economy, a man who knows how to grow business and bring jobs across the country? How about a man who knows how to tackle and take on the 2002 Winter Olympics and turn that around, huh? How about a man who knows how to make tough decisions? Folks, I know who that man is. Please join me in giving a very warm Colorado welcome to Governor Mitt Romney. Thank you.
Thank you, Colorado. Wow, great to be here. Thank you. Wow. Wow, that feels good. It's good to be back in Colorado. How many of you voted for me in 2012? Thank you. I appreciate that support. And you know, I am somewhat biased, but I think you made the right choice, and I appreciate it. So I got an email the other day from a family member who had a little joke about the president. So if you'll give me a little latitude here, I'm going to tell you a joke because I thought it, well, it touched my funny bone. It began with the president going into a bank to cash a check. And the teller said, do you have some identification? And he said, I've left my driver's license at home. And she said, well, we've got to know that it's actually you. And he said, well, do you have any idea how I can do that? And he said, well, as a matter of fact, yes. Actually, the other day, Andre Agassi was in here. and he didn't have his license either. And so he set up a little target on the wall, took a tennis ball, hit the tennis racket, hit the target. So we knew it was Andre Agassi. We cashed his check. And then Phil Mickelson was in, and he didn't have his license, and he put a little cup on the ground, took a golf ball and a golf club, and hit the golf ball right in that cup. We knew that was Phil Mickelson. And she said, "Is there something you can do to show who you are?" And he said, "I haven't a clue what I could do." And she said, "Thank you, Mr. President. Do you want that in small bills or large bills?" Now, that would be funnier if it weren't also so true and so sad, because over the last several years, as we've watched the president, a lot of us have been even more disappointed than we had expected during the elections. We've seen most recently the great tragedy that's occurring in the Middle East with ISIS and their incursion into major parts of the world, the tragic beheadings that we've seen. The president last night said that we didn't estimate properly the extent of ISIS, and we were surprised by how dramatically large and how dramatic their entry has been. And actually, I thought to myself, you know, one of the things about being president is you get a lot of advice from a lot of people. I mean, the Pentagon has tens of thousands of people in there. They don't just come up with one scenario, they have multiple scenarios. And they come to the president with all those different options and scenarios. And for the president to say, "Gee, we underestimated ISIS," suggests that he wasn't looking at the kinds of ideas that were being brought to him. I know people were saying to him as early as January, "We need to put in place a plan to combat ISIS." And yet I guess he was busy doing other things: vacations, golf, fundraising. He just hasn't done the job that he promised he would do and that the people of America elected him to do. And as a result of that, all over the country, people are saying they want to see new direction. In the Ukraine, we had a president who looked at Russia and said, "We're going to give them more flexibility. We're going to have a reset policy." And Hillary Clinton smiling ear to ear with that red reset button with the Russian foreign minister. How did that work out? You go across the world and you come back home and you say, "Well, how are things going here?" His signature achievement was Obamacare. He couldn't even get that installed properly. And so we had millions of people who lost their insurance they were promised they could keep. At the beginning of his administration, he went around the world, and a lot of us have said what he did was apologize for America. I think it's now time for him to apologize to America. So that little joke of mine about not being able to make up his mind, not knowing which way to go, could also be applied to one governor in this country. There's one governor that stands out for indecisiveness, who's been unable to figure out what to do about, well, the Keystone Pipeline, tried to kick the ball down the field as to how to deal with someone who's a mass murderer, this Mr. Dunlap, has a hard time understanding what it takes to try and get the schools to come back and be the best that they could possibly be and to help our kids. He's had a hard time figuring out what kind of a business development plan to create new jobs, better jobs might look like. As a matter of fact, he calls his plan, I mean, believe it or not, TBD, to be determined. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it really strains credibility to say, "I'm running on a platform of to be determined." This is a real challenge. And so I'm afraid that the people of Colorado are going to have to do the absolute right thing and elect a person who knows what it takes to make a decision, to stick by the decision, and do what's right for the people of Colorado, and that's Bob Beauprez. Now, this is a decisive man and a good man. We've been friends for a long time. This is a man who knows where his heart lies, and it's with our country and with his state, with the people who are around him. He fell in love years ago, married Claudia, and they've been married, what, 45 years? He's a five-generation Coloradan. Now, there are people in the East that didn't know there were 5 generations of Coloradans, but this guy has deep roots in this state. He served as a farmer, as a boy, as you know, and he also served as a banker. We'll forgive him of that. And He went to Washington the way it was supposed to be done. Remember the old Davy Crockett model where people came out of their livelihood and spent 2 or 4 years in Washington representing the people and then went home? That's what he did, came back home. And now he's a rancher again and cares very deeply about his state and wants to see someone who's decisive, who knows what it takes to get the state going. I have been extraordinarily impressed with his plan for economic development. And for those that don't know exactly what that means and how it affects them, what it means is how to get more jobs that pay more money. He's got a plan to do that. And his education plan, have you seen that? Look, he's got a whole series of things that are going to drive these schools in this state to be among the very best in the nation, with kids doing better. Instead of scores drifting down as they have, they're going to turn around and go in the right direction, because he's going to put the teachers and the parents and the students first. This is going to be a great governor. Colorado's going to be proud of this great governor. Would you please welcome the next governor of the great state of Colorado, Bob Beauprez, and his wife, Claudia. Come on in, you two.
Thank you. Thank you, Colorado. I hope you know how humbling it is to be standing next to a man, be introduced by a man that I'd very much dearly be loving to call Mr. President. Wouldn't you too? The world would be a better place, and America would be better off, freedom would be better protected if Mitt Romney were our president. And of course, I always love standing next to my wife, your next First Lady, Claudia Beauprez. Ladies and gentlemen, we got in this race back in March for one simple reason. We asked a lot of Coloradans, how you doing? The mere fact that we're in Colorado, we say, well, we're okay. In fact, we're pretty good. We're in Colorado after all. But then they'd come back and say, you know, but we don't feel great like we normally do. We don't feel so good about ourselves like we normally do. We don't feel like Coloradans always feel. Feel like we've got a knot in our belly. We're being held back a little bit. Somebody's got a weight around our ankles. And I'd say, what's that weight from? What's holding you back? What's got that knot tied in your belly? And invariably they'd come back and they'd say, it's government. Government not only standing on my toes, but maybe a little bit higher. And that's just wrong. We've gotten into a situation, whether it's from Barack Obama or his friend John Hickenlooper, where we've gotten into government on the people instead of, by, and for the people. Now we can turn that around, and on day one we're going to start turning that around next January. I'm going to issue an executive order. And instead of the 2,000 new regulations that John Hickenlooper's imposed on you, instead of the 100,000 pages between the federal government and the state government of regulation that gets dumped on your head, we're going to just freeze all non-essential regulation. If it's not public safety related, we're going to stop it in its tracks. And we're going to go through every agency, every rule, every regulation, everything that government does. And we're going to invite you to help us with this audit of government, turn the tables on government, audit it for a change, and invite you to tell us, where is government getting in your way? And if it's anti-job, anti-liberty, anti-opportunity, anti-believing in you, then we're going to grab it by the roots, we're going to rip it out, and we're going to throw it away. We're going to become that great opportunity state again, the kind of state that Claudia and I have enjoyed to call home, the kind of state that was big enough for all of our dreams. In fact, Colorado's been big enough to fulfill dreams we never even imagined dreaming. That's the kind of state we've always been, hasn't it? When he talked about that shining city on the hill, all due respect to people from other states that are here, I always assumed he was talking about looking uphill toward Colorado. Because it doesn't get any better than this, does it? But if we're gonna be that opportunity state, thank you very much, young lady, by the way. It's got to start with her. We've got a tragedy that's been going on for too long in Colorado. Third grade reading proficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, almost 30% of the third graders, 8 and 9-year-old little ones, almost 30% of them in Colorado can't read like 8 and 9-year-olds should be able to. Among our minorities, Hispanics, African Americans, it's even worse. It's almost 44%. In 2014, in a state as great as Colorado, we're going to end that scandal next year. Every child who can learn how to read is going to be given full opportunity to learn how to read. And instead of, when they're 8 and 9-year-olds, figuring out, I don't do well here, so I don't like it here, so I want to get out of here, we're going to give them a chance to embrace and seize and enjoy all the blessings of this great state like we've all enjoyed. It begins with that fundamental basic of the gift of literacy. Your next First Lady is going to start a nonprofit so that every child in Colorado is gifted every single month until they go off to school with a new book in their mailbox. An age-appropriate book arrives in their mailbox every month, sending a strong message. Mom and Dad, read to your little one. We know how that works. It's not only a gift for the child, it's a beautiful thing for the family. And when, go Claudia is right. Claudia rocks. And a word about public safety. You know, we don't necessarily have to keep more people in our prisons, but you ought to keep the right people in prison. And the sad reality under this governor's watch, there's been way too many let out of prison that re-victimize, that re-assault, even re-murder. And that tragedy's got to end. And leadership requires somebody to at least be objective, to be honest. You may not like reality, but if you're going to accept the duties of leadership, you have to deal with reality. Wishing and hoping and pretending and infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens is no way to preserve the public safety. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this, I believe, is the greatest state in the greatest nation on God's green earth. I have a vision of full employment again, a robust, growing economy again, an inventive economy again, an entrepreneurial economy again. And it believes by answering this fundamental question that really is on your ballot this year. When you decide whether you're going to vote for Cory Gardner for Senate, Mike Kaufman, Don Itterberg for the United States House of Representatives, when you give me an Attorney General as great as Cynthia Kaufman, re-elect Walker Stapleton, Wayne Williams as your next Secretary of State, when you elect this great slate of candidates, the question you're really addressing is this one, isn't it? Do you believe and trust in government, or do you believe and trust in people? It is the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this Obama-Looper regime that we've been under for long enough, they obviously don't trust you. They want to control everything from the health care you buy to the curriculum you have to teach your children in the classroom. They want to regulate and restrict and restrain and control you in every way, shape, and kind they can. I used to say if they could tax and regulate our imagination, they would. They are is exactly right. By turning us into skeptics and cynics and that anxiety that we all feel and we hold back. That's not American, and that's certainly not Coloradan. I believe in the goodness and the decency of you. I trust in you. Because why? If you really believe that we were created in the image and likeness of the Almighty who sent us here, the very definition of goodness, if you believe in that basic truth, then you believe that people solve problems, not that people are the problem. In 36 days, just 36 days, we'll prove once again that elections matter. Elections have consequences. We're dealing with that right now at a national level. And we've been dealing with it long enough at the state level. Ladies and gentlemen, with your help and God's will, on November 4th, we can restore greatness to Colorado. We can turn Colorado back around and get on the right track. We can become great again. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much.